345, which is 9.5. We're doing 9.5 to 9.7.
Two.
Yeah, 9.5 to 9.6 and 9.7. So 9.
Okay, that's okay.
But it's not too many. It's not too much.
Okay.
And so let's get started. We're gonna be on page 345. 345. About Hymenoptera or Hymen. I'm sorry, I can't see it right now. I can't read it. Hymenoptera. Hymenoptera. All right. So we're gonna read about this.
I cannot see, mister.
You can't see.
I can't.
What about now?
No.
What can't you see?
The word.
Mister,
Yes.
I present you Pablito. He will be with me in this class. Pablito. Pablito.
Ah, I remember.
You remember him?
Remember, Carla?
Pablito.
Yes. Let's get started on 9.5. I'll read the first part, and I'll let you guys read from here, okay? Make sure you are paying attention. All insects of the order of Hymenoptera, or membrane wings, pass through the stages of complete metamorphosis. This order includes the most common social insects, ants, bees, and wasps. Unlike most insects, which live alone in pairs, social insects live in large colonies of up to 1 million individuals carrying out specialized tasks like ants, and bees. The unique, complex behavior patterns of the social insects clearly demonstrate the wisdom of their creator. Not all hymenopterans are social insects. Many families of bees and wasps are solitary. Leaf-cutting bees, carpenter bees, mason bees, and mud dauber wasps are examples of hymenopterans that live primarily solitary lives. Diosa, would you read honeybees for me?
Honeybees, which live nearly every area of the world, provide an excellent example of the organized communities maintained by social insects. Each colony has one queen, hundreds of drones, males, and thousands of workers, ordinary females. These colonies often last for many years. A home in a comb. The primary function of the queen is to lay eggs. She may lay up to 2,000 eggs in one day. A queen honeybee may live for 5 to 10 years. The only purpose of the drones is to fly with the queen so that she can mate with one of them, making it possible for her to lay fertilized eggs. Fertilized bee eggs develop into females. Underfertilized eggs develop into males. All of the work in the honeybee colony is done by the worker bees, who perform various specialized tasks, working for the hive. A worker begins life in a tiny egg the size of a period, which is placed into a honeycomb sealed by the queen. 3 days after the egg is laid, the worker bee emerges from the egg as a larva, after being fed by adult workers for 5 days. The larva enters the pupal stage. Adult workers then close the cell with a wax cap. While in the cell, the pupa changes into an adult. Only 21 days after the egg was laid, the new adult bee bites her way through the wax and begins working in the hive. A particular worker's job generally depends on her age. She will help clean the hive, maintain hive temperature, nurse larvae, and guard the hive. Eventually, she shares in the responsibility of collecting the nectar and pollen, a job she will probably keep for the rest of her short life. A worker bee usually lives for only 4 to 6 weeks. As the worker obtains nectar from the various flowers, she stores the liquid in a sac-like organ called a crop. She then transports the nectar to the hive, empties her crop, and leaves again to get another load of nectar. Because they feed on nectar and pollen, bees play an important role in the pollination of flowers. Painful pricks. A
Mister,
worker...
no more.
Keep going, Diosa.
A worker honeybee carries in the end of the abdomen a defense mechanism called a stinger. Using 22 muscles, the bee injects her stinger into a victim. Barbs of the stinger cause it to remain in the victim's flesh when the bee flies off. The worker bee dies soon after losing its stinger, but muscles left with the stinger can continue to pump venom into the victim for up to 20 minutes. If you are ever stung by a honeybee, be sure to scrape the stinger off quickly. Do not squeeze it with tweezers, or you may force more poison into your body. A queen honeybee stings only rival queens because the barbs of the queen's stinger are smaller than the ones on a worker's stinger. The queen does not leave her stinger embedded into the victim and avoids her own demise.
Very good. So here we can see the life cycle of a honeybee. We have the egg, this tiny little thing that's in the middle, comes a larva. Then they cover it with a wax-like cap, and then in the pupa stage will they grow to be a bee, and then they come out and they're adult, and then they start working and doing everything that the other bees do, collecting honey, taking care of the hive and all that stuff. And they're stingers. So stingers, if like I said, if you ever get stung by a honeybee, scrape the stinger off quickly. And those are only honey.
Mister,
Yes, Joseph.
one time one bee sting me and they get it out with a credit card.
With a credit card, that works.
Yeah.
Just gotta get it out. I mean, if you're not allergic to it, you're not gonna die from a honeybee. But if you are allergic, it can cause anaphylactic shock, which can make it be hard to breathe and stuff like that. And so, I mean, no one wants to get stung by a bee. If it's a wasp or anything, you're gonna get stung, and you can get stung again and again and again and again because they don't lose their stingers, but honeybees do, so they'll die. That's why it says the queen bee won't leave their stinger, which means she avoids her own demise, which means she won't die. Joseph, do you want to read next?
Yep.
All right.
Those bees are so beautiful, mister. I want to have one in my hand, but they can sting me.
All right.
So sad. Bumblebees are
Okay.
some of the largest common bees. The colonies of these social insects last for only a year. Like the honeybee colony, the bumblebee colony contains workers, drones, and queen bumblebees differs from honeybees. However, in that only the queen lives through the winter. She spends the winter in a hole in the ground or some other protected area, emerging in the spring, when flowers are available to provide nectar and pollen, her chief source of food. Nesting in a nook. You may be able to find a bumblebee nest in the nearly early spring by watching the queen as she flies above the flower gathering pollen. The queen often selects an underground cavity in which she builds a wax cell. In the cell, she deposits honey and clumps of pollen that she has gathered. Then she lays about 10 to 50 eggs, and top of the food places a wax cap over the cell and sits on the cell to keep the eggs warm. Near the cell, the queen builds a honey pot to hold a food supplies of pollen and honey. She periodically enlarges the cell in which the growing larvae are developing until they reach full size and spin cocoons. I think that's the word. The worker bees that emerge from the cocoons within the cell take much of the responsibility of carrying the next batch of eggs. The empty cocoons of these workers are then used as honey pots. The queen continues to lay eggs, and eventually there are two workers to do all of the work within the colony, as well as to find food and to guard the nest. About halfway through the summer, the workers begin to rear the queen. Unfertilized eggs are also laid and nursed to provide mates for the young queens. After the young queens have mated, they eat enough food to last them through the winter. Then they go into urination until spring. The old queen, the workers, and the drones die at the end of the summer. Each young queen will find a nesting site in the spring and start her own new colony. Unlimited service. A worker bumblebee stinger, unlike of a worker honeybee, is smooth and before does not remain embedded in the skin the victim. Having a smooth stinger and beneficial to the big to the bumblebee in two aspects. The bumblebee can sting repeatedly in a single encounter if necessary, and the bee does not die after using his stinger.
Very good. So I like bumblebees. They're very pretty. They're huge.
But they go stinky.
They can sting you. And so you see that they hibernate, which means that they sleep until spring. But they also don't
Bears.
sting like the other bee, the honeybee does. And so they can sting many times, so be careful. And they're not gonna die, so they'll sting you many times. All right, let's go with wasp. You wanna read, Samuel?
Now, yes, I can see.
Okay, go for it. Wasp.
Wasp waste watchers. Although many wasps resemble bees in both appearance and behavior, the life cycles of the social wasp closely follow that of the bumblebee. There are certain distinct differences between bees and wasps. The body of a wasp is generally long and thin, with a thread-like waist, while the body of a typical bee is thick and rounded with no clearly visible waist. Also, the body of a wasp usually has few or no hairs, while a bee usually has a furry appearance unlike bees. Wasps are basically carnivorous. They're developing larvae feed of insects and other small soft-bodied animals. Social gatherings. You may have noticed small paper-like nests hanging from the eaves of your home, the ceiling of your attic, or the rafters of a shed or barn. These nests are made by social wasps, either paper wasps, hornets, or yellow jackets, for raising their young. Paper wasps may also take over abandoned bird nests or other locations where their homes would be somewhat hidden. Some species of hornets and yellow jackets dig holes or make existing holes larger and build their nests underground. As in bumblebee colonies, all members of a social wasp colony except the young queens die before winter. Queen social wasps hibernate in well-sheltered places like hollow trees, roofs, or walls. In the spring, you may find these wasps collecting building supplies such as old wood or tough plant fibers from the edges of ponds or streams. Social wasps chew this material into pulp, which is used to build a nest similar to a honeybee's comb. After their eggs have hatched, the wasps chew up insects and feed them to the larvae as they develop within their paper cells.
Okay, so you see the yellow jackets, their hives made of paper. I'm sure you've seen some of these hives before, right?
No,
Never.
no,
No, yeah, I have seen of the
I have not seen one of
the
them.
nest,
Mister,
the one
here in
of
Mexico,
Something in your house, Caleb?
they are, I don't know how to show.
nest, a wasp nest.
I hate wasps so much. All right. Samuel, keep reading this page.
Coloners. As their name indicates, solitary wasps do not live in organized groups. A female solitary wasp may build a nest consisting of several eggs into each cell before leaving the young of their own. Each type of wasp larva refers to it a particular type of insect. Solitary wasps that you find in the spring may have hibernate through the winter or spend the winter as larvae. The moth dauber builds neat rows of cells out of the mud obtained from the edges of puddles or other bodies of water. She then paralyzes spiders with her stinger and maneuvers one of two into each cell to ensure that the larvae will have plenty of food when they hatch. The potter wasp uses mud to construct cells that look like tiny pots or urns. She deposits a supply of food, usually caterpillars paralyzed by the venom, into each cell. She then places an egg into each pot, suspending the egg from the well of the cell by a thread-like material. After sealing the mouths of the cells to protect the eggs from intruders, she leaves the young to fend for themselves.
All right, very good.
Finish.
This is the potter wasp adult. So it makes this little wasp nest. These ones are by
It's
themselves.
black.
Swilling a worker.
They don't
Blah,
live
blah.
in a colony.
It's so
All right,
black.
Luis Mario, I want you to read ants for me.
Ants. Ants. Ants, willing walkers. One of the most highly organized social insects is the ant. Many omnivorous and all ants are social, living in large colonies that consist of workers and males and queens. Unlike a colony which has only a queen and an ant colony, many have several queens. Normally, ant queens do not fight each other. They all go their business of laying eggs. A queen of warlike species, however, may attack a queen of an existing colony and take her place. The queen is the larger ant in the colony, followed by the soldiers and specialized workers equipped with a large mandibles that may be used fighting for the colony. The soldiers, ants, and species are also their mandibles to crush seeds from food. Uh,
Sorry. Sorry.
well, I get
A new nest.
from food. A new nest in the bean colonies, some ants develop into females, while others develop in males. In males, male and are thought out, thought out. Uh, Let me see. Thought out to start a new, thought out their lives by the worker and are always budget. However, the male of some species are weaker as their queens during mating season. Ants mate only once and males die soon after mating. A single mating fight enables the ants and remainder on their life. After mating, the queen may later return to original to go to colony that may latin but in most cases starting a new colony because a mate is no longer to fly. Her wings break. She has slid into her new home. Uh, To start a new colony,
Continue.
young queen first find a state nest in the ground, a rotate log or stick. After burrowing inside and sealing of the entrance, she being laying eggs. The first eggs develop into workers that care for the queen and her new eggs. Termite work. Entomologists have identified to 12,500 species of ants. The different ways in which the colonies of various work provide food and shield from their members illustrate the varieties of creativity God has placed in nature. Go to the end that sluggard consider her way and be wise, which having no guide overseer or rules provided her meat in the summer and gather her food in the harbor. Proverbs 6:6-8.
Very good.
Uh, on advice to lazy people to probably refresh, harvest, and which really do prepare their food in the summer. Just as Solomon described, some kind of ants are common in the southern United States. These tiny creatures gather seen from a many as 18 plants families stored in underground grannies winter use. From these seeds, the ants produce a bread, a chewing kernels into soft pulp. Some species are also include fruits and insects. In I continue.
Yeah.
The dairy ants feed and protect infants in order to milk them for food. One common dairy ant and confield ant, which tends herd of corn root aphids, confield and collect the eggs of corn root aphid and store them through the winter. After the eggs have hatched in the spring, the ants take the immature aphids to place where they can feed on the root of young plants until corn seed germinate. The ants the ant then ambush to corn roots to feed. During bad weather, the ants carry the feeds to their underground home for protection. The ants stroke them feet with their attempts, causing them to secretly sweet substance called honeydew, which provides nourishment for the ant. This improvement between corn fight and ants corn root affiliates is an example of mutualism, a close relationship between two organisms in which both organisms benefit. An army ant does not have permanent home, but spread life wandering. Army ants are easily recognized by their characteristic way are traveling in long trains. These fires carbonaceous ants primarily feed one other insect and spiders but may also eat larger animals. Army ant colonies may have from 10,000 to several million members. Colonies in the tropic are longer than those colors regions. Army ants live in a tropical regions of South America and Africa. The African species are called driver ants.
Good job. All right, Caleb. Ant home. Caleb.
sorry, my microphone, ant homes, whereas you have noticed small mounds of soil with holes in their centers appearing in your front yard or in the cracks of a sidewall during a spring. These mounds were most likely made by ants and they dug, dug, dug out their homes. Another common state is a large amount of soil in an otherwise flat area. Although the mound is riddled with tunnels, they are actually more tunnels and climbers in the ground below the mound than in the mound itself. Ants may also be found on the rocks under objects lying on the ground. Ants' needs vary greatly in size, from small colonies with 12 to 300 ants to large tropical nets in reaching 12 meter 40 foot below the surface or housing more than 10 million ants. Some ants build several mounds and connect them with tunnels. These nets with maybe up to 1 meter or 3 feet height can be found in North America and Europe and may be made up of as many 12 mounds covering as much area as a tennis court. As the ant colony grows, the ants dig more tunnels and chambers, reaching ever deeper into the ground. The largest chamber is where the queen lives and lays her eggs. The eggs are taken by the worker ants to nearer chamber. Other rooms in the new Mr. I think that I didn't finish the page. Your microphone.
I thought you finished the page. Man, being slow again.
Yes, I finished.
This guy.
Other rooms in.
Oh my God,
Sorry, because I think that they were more.
Go
In
for it.
the nearest are carrying the resting areas for the worker. The deepest chambers are used as quarters in the winter. Certain kinds of ants have especially chambers. For example, harvest ants have storage room for seeds.
All right, very good. So we can see this is what the colonies of ants look like. So it goes all the way down here. And I'm sure you've seen the different types of ants in your house. Like sometimes when it rains, those ants that fly around that come out, they're so annoying. But
sometimes.
those
The
are
biggest is the princess, right, mister?
the queen ant.
Queen.
The queen ant is the
Queen.
biggest. So you can see this is what a colony would look like. It goes all the way down, or an ant mound.
Mister.
Yeah.
That things that looks like rocks, they're the eggs or they're normal rocks?
No, there are no more rocks.
These are probably normal rocks, but these right here would be the eggs, and then this is like food. Remember that some talks about they make their own bread.
They're big eggs or something like that.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about this section review in 9.5. I'm gonna leave you guys 9.6 and 9.7 to do by yourself. Which insect order contains the most common social insects? Who can tell me the answer?
What?
Which insect order contains the most common social insects?
Ants.
Ants, you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm,
What is the defense mechanism that a worker bee carries?
bee.
What is the different means that
What does it do? What does it have to defend itself?
The sting.
Its stinger. Very good. List 3 types of social wasps. Who knows?
What?
3 types of social wasps. Remember, there's social and non-social. There's the mud daub wasp.
I don't remember.
All right, we're gonna have to look at those. One was paper wasps. All right, what
Paper
happens to the
wasp.
young queens of both bumblebee and social wasp colonies in the winter? What do?
They die.
Oh, they don't die.
They hibernate.
They hibernate. All right. Name the type of insect whose colony. I'm sorry. Which solitary wasp builds cells that look?
Mister, and that number 3.
You guys don't remember it. You guys are gonna have to look it up.
Mm.
Which solitary wasp build cells that look like tiny pots or urns? Remember the name of it.
No.
All right. All right, let's just go through these questions and then I'll let you guys go. Name the type of insect whose colonies may have several queens. And then we have, what are the specialized worker ants equipped with large mandibles that may be used in fighting for the colony?
Soldiers.
Soldier.
Very good. What kind
Yes.
of bird ant tends herds or corn root aphids in order to obtain honeydew from them? Remember we read that. And then which ant travels in long trains?
Workers.
You have to read it. All right. So 9.5, 9.6, and 9.7. Those are what you guys have to do. You also have to do a report on an insect here in Honduras. All right.
The
Information.
bee town.
It could be a bee. It could be the
Bee town.
the horn beetle. Remember, guys, last year you guys brought the insects to class, and someone brought a horn beetle, the beetle that, or the rhinoceros beetle. It could be a beetle. It can be a flying. It can be ant. It can be cockroach. It can be whatever is here in Honduras. You
I
have
don't
to.
remember
A
one
dead
time.
bee.
I don't know if color was
Hey,
in there.
Dead
but like,
bee town.
Hey,
One sec, Sammy. What did you say?
this is one like 2 years ago. I don't know that there was a spider of back of Hannah's chair,
Uh-huh.
and it was a big spider, and we throw out. And last year I think we found it.
Yeah. All right, you can do a spider. You can do a tarantula. Just pick a bug. I'm sorry, an insect. Pick an insect that is here in Honduras. All right, and do a
Okay.
report.
Okay.
And in
be a
Yoro,
dragonfly?
mister. And in Yoro, here in Yoro.
And just Honduras. What did you say, Diosa?
It can be a dragonfly.
Yeah, it could be a dragonfly.
Okay. Bye, Mister.
All right, that's your assignment.